here's our local Doppler radar.
With rising retail sales comes mounting returns. But sadly, many of our returns are ending up in the trash.
Your bedroom is now your dressing room.
And maybe they're buying a size smaller, a size larger, and then intending to return, 2 out of 3 items that they may have purchased.
See how some companies are working to recycle our previous purchases and giving even the most tough to recycle products another life on our Retail Recycling Report, coming up shortly on Local Now.
Almost everybody is looking at some sort of return to office.
Is fully remote work a thing of the pandemic past, or just turning into the hybrid model? Explore why so many companies plan to return to at least some days in the office and the role office mandates are playing. That's in our Unhappy Return segment, coming up in just a few moments, right here on Local Now.
How many trips did you take on the Metro last year? 5, 50, 500? There's a fun new way to find out. WMATA is letting users dive into their data with the 2023 Metro Report. Similar to other annual roundups like the popular Spotify Wrapped, the report breaks down your year into an easy-to-read graphic. You can see the number of trips taken, stations visited, miles traveled, and even your most used bus route. You can even see how you stack up compared to other riders. To get your info, just enter your Smart Trip card number on the WMATA website. Then Metro encourages you to screenshot and share it to social media with the hashtag YourMetroReport. Bad news for those hoping to purchase their first home here. Just 4 months into the new fiscal year, the district's First-Time Homeowners Assistance Fund has run out of money. The $26 million set aside for the program was supposed to last through October. Instead, it ran out before the second round of applications were released. The D.C. Council says demand for the program has risen in recent years, and even if they had doubled the funding, it still wouldn't be enough. Eligible residents who were already approved and have not yet received money will now have to wait until the fall. Keep watching Local Now for more news on your money.
The extreme winter weather and frigid temperatures felt coast to coast this week. can come with hefty costs, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. NOAA estimated overall damages and costs of a northeast winter storm and cold wave last February that produced some of the coldest wind chills in U.S. history at about $1.8 billion. A cold snap that knocked out power to customers from Texas to Maine in December 2022 cost about $8.7 billion. Tama Carlton is an environmental and resource economist at the University of California, Santa Barbara. She says there can be individual household costs for the extreme cold.
If you work in a sector that requires you to be outside, like construction or mining or agriculture, probably a lot harder to do your job in these events, and so that affects household incomes as well as labor supply and productivity in those sectors.
Higher heating costs, even for just a week or two, can pose a challenge and risks.
We should be thinking about the households who are forced to trade off increased health risk from this cold event against paying more money to keep the home warmer.
Extreme cold can also take a toll on crops and put stress on livestock, which could eventually push up grocery prices. The current stretch has also been tough for airlines and passengers. Last weekend saw more than 6,000 cancellations around the U.S. Saturday through Monday, according to FlightAware. And when a flight is canceled, airlines are required to provide refunds. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
A new study is raising questions about the health benefits of drinking fruit juice. Researchers found drinking a glass or more of 100% fruit juice daily was linked to weight gain in children and adults. Doctors say it's likely because you can easily drink too much in one sitting. The issue is how juice impacts the body. Fruits have natural sugar that slowly releases into the body, but when drinking it as juice, it floods the system. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends avoiding juice entirely for babies younger than 1 and to limit intake for older children. And national guidelines call for teens and adults to drink no more than 8 ounces of 100% juice a day. Doctors say fruit juice should be seen as an occasional sweet treat and not a way to quench thirst.
While working from home was quickly adopted by many companies during the pandemic, the return to the office has since become a bigger story.
Guess we're all going in. We knew it was coming, right?
Many businesses that were offering fully remote work options are now changing pace and mandating returns to the office space.
For many, it's the first time back in the office in years. For others, it's the first time ever.
A study from Resume Builder found 90% of companies plan to return to the office by the end of 2024.
So a little over half are already requiring some employees to come back to the office. And in our survey, about 39% additionally plan to.
The push for in-office returns is largely driven by revenue. Nearly 3/4 of companies surveyed say office returns have improved their returns, with 81% saying productivity went up, and they see other benefits as well.
There are things that are showing that productivity and collaboration and teamwork and a sense of being part of a culture in a company helps when you spend some time in the office.
Still, there are stragglers who prefer staying remote, and the push to get them back is getting more aggressive. Nearly 30% are threatening to fire employees non-compliant with office mandates. So there's a standoff of sorts because 2/3 of workers say if remote work was taken away, they would start looking for a new job offering more flexibility, with nearly 40% saying they would simply quit.
Mandates don't always work so much in this marketplace because employees now have choices. There are companies they could go to that are fully remote.
And it isn't always about getting everyone back in the office. Some companies are using mandates as a way to reduce payroll without layoffs.
We're seeing that some companies are instituting return to office policies in a big way because they actually want some layoffs in the company and they don't want to lay off people. So by mandating RTO sometimes could reduce the workforce, whether you want to or not.
For others, it's about real estate, or at least the lease. In 2021, 84% of companies plan to reduce their office space. However, a global study found that 3 in 4 businesses have actually increased their office footprints, including 87% here in the US. And that's likely because office occupancy rates are on the rise. While they are still only half of what they were before the pandemic, they have been steadily increasing. But don't expect full offices every day. Fewer than 20% of companies implementing a return to the office say a full 5 days will be required.
Companies are seeing an uptick in productivity, even if it's 3 days a week coming in. They're saying they're getting a response to that. So it looks like pretty much almost everybody is looking at some sort of return to office, but what that looks like is going to vary tremendously.
With rising retail sales comes mounting returns. And sadly, many of those returns have turned into a mountain of trash, with online shopping driving the surge.
Online shopping is up 50% in the last 3 years. And, your bedroom is now your dressing room.
And maybe they're buying a size smaller, a size larger, and then intending to return, 2 out of 3 items that they may have purchased.
According to retail return specialist Optoro, returned inventory creates 9.5 billion pounds of waste each year and generates 24 million metric tons of CO2 throughout the process.
It's also about CO2 emissions. Those returns, don't snap your fingers and they go from your home back to the retailer. There's transportation of movements, there's transportation costs that are at play.
With more consumers than ever demanding sustainable solutions from retailers, some companies are making sure our returns stay out of the trash.
Many times it's not economic to be able to put those returns back on shelf for a variety of reasons. And it is significantly better for the environment to get those recycled than to see them disposed, which unfortunately where a lot of returns may end up.
Companies like TerraCycle are working with retailers on tailored solutions to their waste problems.
With Staples, for example, we run pen recycling nationally in their stores, or with say Kiehl's or L'Occitane en Provence, we run in-store recycling for their cosmetics, or if it's a pharmacy, maybe blister packs from pharmaceutical products. And we also see a lot of interest from retailers on recycling the products that they sell that even if they're not returned, the package or the product itself will become waste after a short use.
TerraCycle runs in-store recycling programs at over 250,000 retail locations in 20 countries. But for their ultimate goal, look no further than the company's motto: recycle the unrecyclable.
What's really important is that everything in the world, more or less, is technically recyclable. I haven't seen a waste stream that can't be somehow processed into something else.
This requires breaking the current take, make, dispose approach and replacing it with a more circular model where nothing goes to waste.
The virtue of moving from a linear take, make, waste to a circular economy is that we stop relying on extracting new materials through farming and mining, which is the most destructive component of us purchasing things, is their creation. That is the biggest toll on the environment. Over the past 20 years, I've seen the idea of a circular economy go from just being invented as an academic concept to now something that most manufacturers and retailers are really seriously thinking about.
Major retailers such as Walmart, Macy's, and others have been making the push for increased sustainability. But according to Zaki, the biggest changes could start with us.
When we buy things, we're voting for the future. What we buy, more will appear. What we don't buy, less will appear. Let's encourage things that are reusable and maybe buy things that are going to last longer than just immediately fulfill a need.
Here are today's lottery numbers.
Here's the outlook for your week ahead.
These are the latest incidents and events in your area. Let's take a look at the latest airport delays.
More and more people in their 20s are spending thousands of dollars for cosmetic procedures to prevent aging. According to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, Botox injections among people aged 20 to 29 rose by 71% between 2019 and 2020. The increase is reportedly driven by preventative measures, such as getting injections in an area with no defined wrinkles to prevent them from forming. Instead of injections, dermatologists say young adults concerned about aging should invest in a simple skincare routine that includes a facial cleanser, a moisturizer, and a daily sunscreen.
And here's a look at movies coming out soon.
"24 degrees under partly cloudy skies." Here's our local Doppler radar.
DC, it's time for breakfast. Here's another local pick in our area that's looking great.